Welcome, risk takers and trailblazers. This is the Offbeat Path, where we celebrate those who dare to color outside of the lines of life. I'm your host, Bob Healy, and each episode, I'm going to be sitting down with a guest who's made the bold choice to veer off the well-worn road and carve out their own unique path. From radical career pivots to life-altering personal transformations, we're going to explore the stories of those who have embraced the unconventional. And here's the twist. We're not just about the highlight reel. We're going to dive into the failures, the scrapes, the stumbles, the moments of doubt that come with choosing a road less traveled. Because sometimes the most valuable lessons come from those sharp left turns that didn't quite pan out as planned. So whether you're contemplating your own big leap or just craving a dose of out-of-the-box inspiration, you're in the right place. The Offbeat Path is your reminder that life's most rewarding adventures often begin where the map ends. Get ready to challenge the status quo, embrace the unexpected, and maybe find the courage to blaze your own trail. It's time to buckle up, take a sharp turn towards a life less ordinary. This is the Offbeat Path. Let's get to it.
I want to ask you, actually, I don't know, I'm ADHDing a little bit. What's your vice with fast food?
My vice with fast food?
Do you still get fast food at all?
I mean, it's different. I'm a vegetarian now, and I have been for almost 6 years now. I mean, back in the day, it was like Chick-fil-A. I mean, I will tell you. So my wife, my child are not vegetarians. We're a mixed household. It's okay. It works out.
Yeah, my daughter's a vegetarian.
My wife will go get once in a while for my daughter. She'll get Chick-fil-A. Like it's once in a. We're pretty on top of what we feed our kids, but once in a great while, which I think is fun. She goes and gets Chick-fil-A, and she'll call me and say, and you know me, I mean, my diet's pretty strict, like I try, but she'll call me and say, I'm going to Chick-fil-A, do you want anything? And what that really means, because there's literally one thing on the menu I can have.
Mac and cheese?
All right, two things on the menu that I can have. I'll be like, yeah, give me a large order of waffle fries.
Oh, yeah, waffle fries, that's
the
right.
Waffle fries are delicious.
They are very good. Actually, I don't know if I told the story, when I weighed at my peak heaviest, I was on the road for my old job. I remember I pulled into a McDonald's at 7 a.m. and I got two McGriddles, and 2 bacon, eggs, and cheese, large coffee, cream and sugar, and a hash brown. And I don't know, probably 3,000 calories. I just drove off, did what I had to do. And I pulled back in to the same McDonald's to get lunch. I think I was 23 years old. I pulled back in and I ordered God knows what. And the same guy sitting there, big dude, gives me the bag and he gives me the bag. He goes, "It's good, isn't it?" And I just he knew I had a problem. I was just like,
does that look like?
He just looked. He's like, "It's good, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." And I'm like, it's like eating in my car. I'm like, I gotta get my life together. What am I doing?
You're looking down at all the empty bags of McDonald's in the bottom of the car.
So sad, yeah.
But yeah, I would say fries are my fast food advice. What's yours?
Well, I haven't had fast food in a while. I think during the pandemic, I dabbled back in. I was on the road a bit, and drive-thrus were easy. That's a good question. I mean, Chick-fil-A is a good one. Chick-fil-A is just solid. It's always good service. I mean, I love growing up. Taco Bell was one of my favorite things on the planet.
I ate a lot of Taco Bell.
I don't know if they have it anymore, but the 7-layer burrito and the Mexi Melt.
Jesus.
The Mexican pizza. I mean, I have a problem with food. I am almost like when we first met, I used to order for our group food, and I would just get everything. And it's because I just love food. I love people enjoying food. I would order crazy stuff. But if you think about it, on Monday night, it was obviously a steak place. You, myself, and Ladner, I think, were the 3 guys who didn't indulge in this beautiful-looking porterhouse. I had salmon and asparagus with no butter, and I think Ladner had the same and ran 10 miles the next day.
Yeah, he ran back to Pittsburgh. That's how he.
He runs 25 miles, 1,000 miles. But that's hard, especially that's for me advice for sure. Gotta control.
I mean, that's probably my most. I never got into drugs. I've never done a drug in my life. I've never smoked weed. I drank, a lot during periods of my life, but food has always been sort of the drug for me.
Same.
And I had a lot of challenges with that.
Were you overweight growing up?
Yeah, I kind of was. I was pudgy. I had low blood sugar, and back in the day, my parents used to buy me a lot of stuff with corn syrup because that wasn't sugar, and nobody kind of knew better. And so that didn't help, obviously. And then I got out of the band. I was living in Philly in I think it was 25th and Tasker. I was living with some girl I was dating and another roommate of mine. And this goes back to mindset. Like, I got really depressed because I was, the thing that I thought I was planning my life around was done, and it was self-inflicted. It wasn't like those guys threw me out. I walked. And I really struggled a lot, so I ate more. I got heavier. And I remember one day, I used to have this guy who I went to 13th Street Gym with in Philadelphia, which isn't there anymore. It's 13th and Locust, so it was like down in the neighborhood. And it's gone now, but it was there for a long, long time. And he was an all-natural bodybuilder from Philadelphia. His name was Joe Patton. And just a super fit, chill guy, but just like super fit.
Yeah.
And I remember working out with him when I could, but I never really followed the diet. And so
you're not going to see
you're not really going to see the results. And then I moved back to Jersey and I started working with somebody. And the first thing they said to me, I'll never forget it. I was on the hack squat and it was between reps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him my life story because, I don't know, I was vulnerable at that point. I got out of this band, I broke up with this girl, I moved back to Jersey, and he just goes, well, now, he goes, that's great. I'm like, it's horrible. He goes, no, it's great. Because now you got all the chance to make all these really good life choices. And for whatever reason, that clicked. I was like, oh, life choices, like what I put in my mouth, what I put, and getting into yoga even influenced that more. It's not just what I put in my mouth. What am I putting in my eyes? What am I putting in my ears? Like, all these things influence my health, whether it's my mental health or my physical health. Who are the people I spend my time with? There's that quote, you are the amalgam of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Beyond true.
And I tell this to students, like, not the 5 people you like, the 5 people you actually spend the most time with. So if you're in a relationship and you don't actually like that person and they're always putting you down,
it's still having an effect.
It's having an effect. If you live with your parents and you've got an adversarial relationship with them, it's still having an effect.
Yeah.
Like the 5 people you spend the most time with.
So important.
And so as I get older, I just try to, I don't know. I mean, my diet's fairly strict. I will still indulge in the occasional midnight ice cream from Wawa.
Well, I love Wawa.
I lived across from a 7-Eleven in college. That was bad.
Do you know 7-Eleven? I didn't know this. I had a meeting earlier this week with our marketing team. 7-Eleven has a cult following internationally, and there's these Instagram or TikTok meetups on 7-Eleven parking lots now around the country or something. It's you just show yourself in front of a 7-Eleven and
Is 7-Eleven cool again?
Apparently it's very cool, yeah.
Okay, it wasn't cool when I was going to college. It was not...
It was where you'd go to get beer.
Yeah,
for you, maybe not, but
for me, ice cream.
For ice cream, yeah.
Snickers bars.
Coffee in the morning and beer at night. That's what we did.
But yeah, 7-Eleven's cool again. I guess that either means we're old or... I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
But yeah, so I always struggle with food. And I still do. I mean, it doesn't go away. Dude, that stuff's ingrained in me.
It's the same. I came home just last Friday night, and there's just a box of crumble cookies sitting.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
And my kids have it. I'm looking at it, and I'm just it's torture for me because I want one of those cookies, but I don't do it.
Do you know what happens as I get older? What I eat really does affect me the next morning, and so I have and this is new for me. I've sort of hit this point where I'll look at it's sugar for me, some sugary dessert, and think, you know what? It's the same thing about why I don't drink anymore. I mean, I made some. There's a whole lot of reasons I don't, but I stopped drinking long before I really got deep into yoga because I just would get hangovers.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was like, this is just not worth it. I'll have a glass of wine and feel horrible the next morning.
I just had this conversation with somebody. It's as I've gotten older, that second drink really, I feel it. Mm-hmm. And so one drink I'll be fine, and I don't drink often, but there was a great quote by Richard Branson who, and I'm paraphrasing it, someone asked him what makes you successful, or what should you watch out for, and he's drinking, right away he's drinking. What do you mean? He's drinking, with drinking you're basically borrowing tomorrow's happiness for that moment.
That's interesting.
And that like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and it's true. It's like you're going to be extra happy with a few drinks then, but you're going to pay the price tomorrow as being not as good as a human.
Yeah, and so with sugary stuff, for me, it's the same thing. I just look at it, and I'm starting to look at it and think, I really don't want to feel like crap in the morning. And for me, I mean, people's bodies are different, whatever, but for me, I've just sort of gotten to the point where, I guess to quote Richard Branson, I don't really feel like borrowing tomorrow's happiness. I'd rather just have it.
No, it's true. I actually, for the last year and a half, I stopped eating carbs after 5.
Interesting.
And I genuinely, my workouts the next morning, I just feel better. It's weird. And
that's interesting.
It helps me with my blood sugar regulation, mood stuff. Like it sucks because like last night I was in Manhattan. I picked up cookies for my kids from Milk Bar, which is St. Josie's place.
Yes, I know where Milk Bar is.
Yeah, and so like my kids were like, oh my god, and I'm sitting there watching me eat it. I'm like, oh, it's like make sure you microwave that cookie for 20 seconds. Oh.
For all the yoga I do, I am a master of sense gratification, so I know where Milk Bar is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the other thing I guess is like what I mean, much like you, what I do on a day-to-day basis. I mean, job's not always easy. It's easier than some jobs, harder than others, right? But like, you got to show up for people.
Exactly.
And so I want to be at my peak because I assume that everybody else on my team is showing up at their peak. So it's a disservice to them if I'm not.
Exactly right.
I mean, because it's hard enough to be in business. I mean, you know that better than I do, frankly. I mean, because you guys got in trouble when? Like,
well, it was felt the impact of that in 2018, but really decisions from 2015 to 16. We that's like when I met you. I was navigating the whole business. Yeah. We wound up first call it 9-10 restaurants, just extraordinarily successful, and it was almost like a false positive where you think, oh, you got it, working regionally in Hoboken, Wilmington, whatever, but Philly, this thing's gonna work everywhere, without really understanding all the nuances of the business.
Like not understanding why you're successful.
Yeah, like you think you know why, but you don't really know fully all aspects and elements as to why. And even today we don't, right? Like I said this before, like in actually another podcast, but it's like you have a business, it's like an algorithm, and you got to keep perfecting that algorithm to really produce the maximum successful output. And at 9-10 restaurants, you don't know shit. You know some stuff, right? And this is a concept a bit different than just the other ones. And you want to build something differentiated, a brand, something special. There's a million bowl concepts. There's a million variants of Chipotle, variants of burger places, and Mediterranean, Cava. Everyone wants to be the next Cava. But for us, someone's doing what we do. We've seen 8 or 9 phony grows through the years. So
phony grows.
Yeah, there was one here, a few in Jersey actually, but they closed. We wanted to grow quickly and get to these markets before the phony grows got there. And so we raised a chunk of change early on and proceeds to grow the company and to hire folks to help us get there on the corporate team. Simultaneously wanted to do a second concept because building honeygrows in cities just became really expensive. And that's part of like figuring out who you are instead of just saying, well, let's test some stuff, go more suburban, whatever. We started doing Honeygrow Suburban where it was successful, but I didn't want to miss out on the white space in the urban areas. And so we jammed these smaller versions of Honeygrow called Mini Grow into the cities. Instead of doing one, understanding this one, I did 6 out of hubris and thinking, oh, it'll be great because everything we do is great. Until it's not. You're like, oh my God. And that's what happened. We ended up opening up 7 markets in 1 year plus a new concept. And that was between 2016 and 2017, 2018. And all the money we raised, we're running out. We had a big team. You look at the spreadsheets, the hockey stick, everything should be okay. And it's not. And so, you have to react accordingly and plan and get through it. And it was a very hard time, as you know, and had to do the cuts and close some restaurants and a lot of reflection and take a step back and move forward. But in retrospect, those were incredible golden nuggets of information and leadership development and team building that, I give so much credit to my team. Like they really stuck. The people who did, a lot of people left. Everyone who stuck together, we got through it together, and they did an unbelievable job getting us to where we are. but that's part of the Honeygrow story.
Well, I mean, it's that shared trauma, right? Of going through anything where you have to go through difficult times. You're usually more cohesive when you come out of it. I remember when you were going through that, because I use this, I use this euphemism today, and nobody other than you and 6 other people that we know understands it, of like cutting scallions.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's a great freaking story.
Yeah, we in 2019-18 we stopped growth, and it was okay. We got a whole bunch of honeygrows working really well, and we got these honeygrows in these new markets that are not, and it's going to take some time. Let's really just press pause and look at everything we have on the table and how do we make it better. And so we're all looking at kind of like what we're serving, and we realized we're no longer cutting the whites of scallions. And when you start cutting the whites of scallions over 25 restaurants, you pick up like $150,000. And so like the team got after it. Like they found like romaine, like why are we buying this romaine? Let's buy this romaine. It's actually better and we can cut it and clean it. $100,000. Actually, the crazy one was chicken, because we used to always grow a chicken in-house. At one point, someone changed it, and we were buying a sous vide pre-made chicken, thinking you're saving on labor. And it's a sous vide product, it's a good product, but I'm like, get rid of this shit. Like, fuck this, let's cook our chicken in-house again. And we picked up like $2 million.
Jesus.
And so, our model today that we scaled, it was kind of like, there's good cells and bad cells in your body. We're like, all right, well, let's get rid of the bad cells and replicate the good cells. And that's what we did. And so we've really perfected it through 2019. And then COVID happened. And then we opened up, we actually did okay by July, August. September 2020, you were there, like we opened up our first new restaurant.
I remember.
And we've opened 31 locations since that moment. And thank God, they're doing great.
But I mean, you had stuff coming out that was like, is Honeygrow going to fail? I mean, I remember there were like trade magazines.
There's like Chicago Tribune, because someone tipped off that we're closing in Chicago, and Philadelphia Inquirer called me. They're like, you're closing in Chicago. Like, you give us information. I'm like, dude, you're in Philadelphia. What do you care what we're doing in Chicago? Like, I didn't realize people were seeing us bigger than just Philly at that point in time, obviously, but I didn't think what would happen there would be like a business story in Philly. But I was just honest, like, whatever the article said, I was straightforward, and it sucked. I had to go through it. You lose the confidence of your team in that situation. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Your investors, yourself, right? And you kind of just gotta stay focused, execute the plan. And a guy on my team always says, like, trust comes with time and wins, and that's true. And I was just, all right, well, I see where this is going. We see where this is going. Let's just keep getting those wins. And then finally things started thawing. And, fortunately the team, they bought in, the investors bought in, they supported us to keep going. But it was a pretty harrowing time.
I mean, I have a teacher that says faith is trust by experience. Like somebody tells you something and you try it out and it works. So then you trust them a little more. You go back and ask them for advice, and that trust builds over time. But I remember you going through, kudos to you, because you had, I remember you going through that, and rather than melting down, not that you didn't, I wasn't with you every hour of every day, but rather than, like, from what I saw, rather than you melting down, you were like, you just buried yourself in spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It was like, and then I remember you coming one day to one of our meetings and just being like, we figured out we can cut scallions and pick up $100,000 there.
Yeah.
And as your friend, right, I was like, yes. It was like the Rocky movie where it's like Rocky 4, where he gets beat up all the time, and then there's that round where everything flips and he just starts punching back, and I'm like, yes. All right, Justin's starting to punch back. Like, this is great.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but the colors of Honeygrow are based on Rocky's shorts from Rocky 2.
What?
When he beat Apollo Creed,
What?
Everyone's like, it's because of a bee, it's black and gold. No, the actual colors of Honeygrow.
Oh my God, that's right.
Are black and gold when he beat Apollo. That's actually my favorite. That's one of my favorite movie scenes ever, when he beats Apollo, and then he's giving a speech all like punch drunk.
Yep.
And he's just like, to my wife who's home, he's like, yo, Adrian, I did it. I cry every time I see that, because he did it. He fucking did it. Like, Apollo was the best, and he beat Apollo. Like, he didn't give up. So, like, I think one of my strengths is resilience. Like, I fight through things, I push through things, I have a wonderful group of human beings working with me who got after it hard. It was when I'd say by middle of 2019, I knew like this thing's going to be okay. And we had some more bumps in the road to go, but you just gotta I know what I want to accomplish. And if this is part of that story to get there, then I'm just going to fucking do it and just deal with it. And to be honest about breakdowns, the only time I would be self-reflective, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning. My wife's sleeping. We don't have like an extravagant house. I'm like, I could lose everything. And I just would wake up. I would be like, okay, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. And I go to jiu-jitsu. And once they hit the mats, that thinking stopped. And I just got focused again, rolled hard, trained, and went to work.
Well, it goes back. I mean, I think it goes back to that. Most of the people I know who are, high-powered people or successful, like they have, usually it's a physical practice, but some of them not all, but they have that thing in their life that forces them to have to focus for an hour.
An hour, yeah.
I mean, that's at least, so that's what, jiu-jitsu, lifting, yoga, any of that stuff, like you have to, it's almost like a palate cleanser. Like when I practice, it's almost like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Because all I'm doing is thinking about breathing, moving my body.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think about anything else. And then you sort of slip back into the real world when you're done. And it's almost, for me, I don't know if it's like this for you in jiu-jitsu, it's almost like I've zoomed out.
Yeah.
I get a lot of perspective because I slip back in. All that stuff didn't bother me for an hour. Maybe it's because my mind's quieter. Maybe it's because I've just gotten away from it. And then you sort of come back to it. And oftentimes I've thought, particularly when I have hard stuff going on in my life, I've looked at it and thought, okay, it's actually not that bad. Or, okay, it's really bad, but it's not catastrophic.
Yeah.
There are ways, if I don't have a solution, I know 3 people I can go talk to who might.
Right.
And that's, I think, the value of perspective. And that's the value that these practices can bring to you, is they give you perspective. And they give you just that moment to get a little quieter so that perspective can slip into your psyche.
That's exactly right. And enough, I think, endorphins, at least what you just do, that you're thinking positively. Like I would go, I mean, even now, right? If you have a tough day or whatever reason, like at 5:30, it's tough for me to get to jiu-jitsu. It's annoying. I have to fight through traffic. I'm in my office, but I go, and I never leave jiu-jitsu being, I wish I didn't do that. Like you always feel like, great, and like, okay, I got a little better, or I had a rougher roll, let me think about what I have to do. But I'm not thinking about whatever I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And when you can refresh your brain that way and then attack it again, you're just better at it. So it's important.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where I'd be without that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so, what are you guys doing for Christmas?
Well, Jews, I guess we're going to eat Chinese food and go to movies. I don't know. What are we doing? We're going to watch you guys, my friends, all open presents and be happy while we look in the window.
No, you guys get like 7 nights of presents, don't you?
Actually, Hanukkah starts on the 25th, so very excited for that.
Oh, wow. So it just lines up nicely this year.
Awesome. I don't know what we're doing. Opening presents, I guess?
Opening presents. I mean, it's you guys, and so are you, because I know you got I've known you now for 6 years, 7 years, 7, right?
6.5.
6.5,
yeah,
it'll be 7. I'm trying to remember when the first time we met was.
Well, I think it was July or August 2018 meeting.
Okay, yeah. And the other thing I saw is like, at least in the last year or two, you've gotten super back into sort of being Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you want to call it? Your faith, your religion? I don't know. Everybody has a different word for it.
It's my religion, heritage,
You know?
Read the Torah this morning, actually. It's Shabbos. I shouldn't even be doing this interview today. It should be like...
it's the Sabbath.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not that into it, but
who should I call?
A rap civilian in the morning. I do that, but not today.
I mean, that's got to help too, right?
It is. I actually, I've always felt a connection with my heritage, my religion. A lot of folks through the years have had a lot of influence. Lately, it's someone named Nachum Schmidt. He's a rabbi at UPenn Chabad, and I've been close since probably 2018, 2019. I through the years, I mean, even prior to what's happened in the past year, like, it's always been a large part of who I am, certainly last year more so. But every morning I wake up and do prayers, every morning. It's, just what I do. I wrap smill in the morning. It's 10 minutes of my day to start positive, and there you go.
Yeah. I mean, same sort of spiritual practice in the morning, and it's like, it's that 10 minutes of your day where it's not about you, right? Like, just reminds you that, like, I'm actually not the center of the universe.
God is, and it's way bigger than me.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I might think I am. I do a pretty good job the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day convincing myself that I am, right? But in fact, I am not. And I don't know, it sets up the day for me. Like, if I don't do it, I'm different than when if I miss for some reason, if I don't get to go out and meditate and do puja and all that stuff, like I've got,
gotta do it.
But I mean, and your family into it too, or is it sort of just a thing you've done with yourself?
I'd say more myself. We do Shabbos dinners with them last night. My wife, we're bat mitzvahed. My kids, I was bat mitzvahed. Liv's bat mitzvah coming up.
Yeah.
My kids go to Hebrew school. I have to force my son to go to Hebrew school.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's okay.
He's just like you.
In many ways, yes. In many ways, no. But he's a good kid. But yeah, it's just, I think faith's important. I think that it just grounds you as a human being, and there's something honorable and ethical, and I think it's important just to be a good human being. I think if you are doing those prayers in the morning, you realize the world is much bigger than you, and you got to be supporting each other, man.
Yeah,
that's that.
Well, it all comes back to gives you perspective, right? All those things that give you perspective give you that ability to just sort of zoom out.
For sure. For sure.
Well, man, I don't want to keep you because I know
this is great. I
know you've got to drive 50 minutes back, and apparently they've shut down the entire street around this place, so you might not even get out.
Actually, I'm going to go home and probably work out for an hour and a half today, which my Saturday ritual.
That's a good way to spend a Saturday.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
But is there any place people can? I mean, you and I are both. I'm on social media maybe more, but I try to be on less. But is there any place people can go and find you if they want to?
No.
All right.
That's right.
Good.
You can't find me. No. Honeygrow.com. Come check us out. Freshly made stir-fried salads. You
guys have an Instagram too, right?
At Honeygrow. We have an X. At Honeygrow.
You guys are on X?
We're on Twitter, so I guess we're on X.
That's going to be rough.
We're not active on X, I don't think. Yeah. We were very active on Instagram and TikTok.
Don't get me wrong. I think Elon buying X is pretty freaking cool and all that. I need one. I have nothing against X. It's just one less social media platform I have to deal with.
X and Twitter traditionally for me was really good with news stuff.
Yeah.
I just to your point, I use less all social media. It's like in my office, I have a lot of folks using Slack, but why are you not on Slack? I don't want to be on Slack.
Yeah, we tried that.
Thing. People love it, and that's great. I'm old school. Call me, text me and call me. I'm good.
I feel like the more of that stuff that I have, the more there's a chance that somebody takes a message I send the wrong way.
Well, it's because you're subjective when you're reading it.
Right. You attach whatever your mindset is and tone to that message.
And you said before, 75% of that thinking is negative.
There you go.
So I think
we got off Slack.
I typically will call someone when it's important because if it's text, you will read it with a frame of mind that is going to probably be incorrect versus I think 85% or whatever it is about how you say something.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, the best is in person, and a lot of it's your
body
language.
It's 70% of how somebody reacts in person to you is not about what's coming out of your mouth. Again, I'll get that ratio wrong, but it's a lot about.
Exactly right. I think it's mostly body language. I mean, I don't know, but it's body language and how you say it, and then it's actually what you say is 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a big proponent of either let's have eye-to-eye contact and let's have a conversation, or hey, what's going on? They call you, because people will automatically see something you write and misinterpret it sometimes. Be careful.
Yeah. So, well, listen, brother, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Appreciate you doing this, and I hope you don't get a deluge of other podcasts that are ticked off that you came into this one.
I did a favor for someone last week and the other one, but lie low for a little bit. But thank you.
All right. All right, man. Well,
my pleasure.
Take it easy.
Got it.
That's all for today's journey down the Offbeat Path. Hope this episode's inspired you to forge your own unique trail. And if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, please share with a friend, and definitely leave us a review. Your support helps the community grow. Remember, the road less traveled is often the most rewarding. Until next time, this is Bob Healy, encouraging you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and above all, keep forging your own unique path. See you on the next episode.